right, race fans, here we go. We're going to break down the top five. I'm Ryan Aho. That is the one and only Santa, Puka, the Elf. I'm not, maybe that's Elf. We all got to watch the Elf show after this, but we got Puka here, the one and only Bert Lehman. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. We're getting close on the driver or the late model driver of the year, and we're getting close to Christmas. So get home and wish your mother a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Christmas Eve, of course, tomorrow, Christmas on Friday. Hopefully you can all spend it with your family. Do not listen to walls, right? Just I don't care how many people you have there, enjoy that time with your family. But we're excited. And Puka, before we break down the top five, and this has been a heck of a lot of fun. I know you have a sponsor or two that you want to thank here for the show. And I just want to say before you announce them, thank you very much, because that helps make this possible. So support these businesses and support the One to Go show. So Puka, take it away.
Yeah, exactly. All you fans, like I said, if you have a need or want for any of the products that any of our sponsors provide, we appreciate if you go see them and maybe let them know that the One to Go show sent you. And you've heard, if you've been consistently watching the One to Go show recently, we've had Frank Zuli's been on board with Zuli Machine, and all kinds of engine needs. Ryan knows him better than I do, but he does a great job. He's got cars parking in victory lane all the time, as Ryan has pointed out. So make sure you go see Frank. And like I said, if you are getting an engine, like Ryan said, for your spouse for Christmas, please thank him for supporting the One to Go show.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Now, hey, let's get to it, guys. The top five in the inaugural One to Go show regional late model power rankings. Here we go at number 5. This guy here, guys, really had 2 seasons, and we talked about it all year long. Man, it's hard to rank this guy. It's hard to rank him. And very easily, looking at his body of work, he could be 1, right? He could be back a little further. It's hard to place this guy in there, but I don't think anybody will argue that this guy is one hell of a race car driver. Now, on his regular type events, 25 shows, 3 wins, 18 top 5s. I mean, that's immensely impressive, right? He also had you can call it a World of Outlaw season, right? World of Outlaw / open type shows, 23 shows there. He did not get a win in any of those shows, but he had 7 impressive top 5 finishes. He got first and second at the Twin 25s. He got first, second, and second at the Masters. And he kind of let that one slip away there when he let Hannestead get by. Third at the USA Nationals, not in the local show, but in the 50 grand to win show. So a podium finish at the USA Nationals. Second and fourth at Woo shows in Davenport. Fifth, he went down to Falls over Labor Day weekend, rattled off the top 5 at Fairbury. Second at the Plymouth World of Outlaw show. Second, he got a second down at the in Arizona at the Wild West Shootout in one of those shows. 6th and 5th, after talking about all this stuff, 6th and 5th is like, why are we even mentioning it? But 6th and 5th at the World of Outlaw shows at Cedar Lake over July 4th weekend. So he was very good there. He got 4th at the Mater 55. He got a 4th and 2nd at the doubleheader over at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway and rattled off another second or so along the way. He got 2nd at the Prelude to the Clay, and I guarantee he wants that one back because he led all but 50 feet, right? So we're talking about a gentleman from Menominee, Wisconsin, none other than the 28th, the Iceman, Jimmy Mars.
Yeah, I'll take this one first. What really impressed me about Jimmy, or I shouldn't say impressed, it stuck out, was the interview Jimmy did with the One to Go show in March. No, I'm kidding. But no, but what I think, actually, where I think for me, this year was when he went to Davenport, Iowa with the World of Outlaws, and he threw it into second place. And I really think that it was kind of like, hey, Jimmy Mars is back and MB Customs is back, and we saw as the year went on, there were people that, got into, like Chris Simpson got into an MB car. And I wouldn't be surprised if their numbers over this winter are a little bit better than they were last winter. So, he's back. And like Ryan said, goes to Fairbury, places well, gets on the podium at the USA Nationals, not to mention, of course, his Wazota body of work was fantastic. But, on that open side, because there was a point in an earlier show this spring, I said, do you think Jimmy is bothered that he doesn't have a national driver per se on the. I mean, he had Cade Dillard, but I mean, when I was mentioning this, Cade wasn't Cade third place in the Woo. Cade was still kind of a little bit green, and and like I said, I think that his performance this year is putting himself and MB Customs kind of back on the map.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I mean, he really had 2 seasons in one season. He had the open season and the regular season. And I know some people may say, well, why do you include Jimmy Mars in this list? Because he's like a professional race car driver. He shouldn't be included in this. But he's racing against the guys that are on this list. So if he's racing against the guys on this list, he should be considered for the list. And his body of work is solid and, is fitting for a top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, I mean, he could be 5th, he could be higher. In my mind, what keeps him out of being a little bit higher is the lack of wins, right? He had a handful more wins in there, them wins would have taken wins away from the people that are above him, right? So, I mean, he ran very well, but I mean, basically when that 28 car unloads, you're like instant contender. I mean, it's not even a question. He's going to be in the conversation at the end, and he's helped. And what I will say is between him and of course Chris and AJ and all the folks, a lot of the people on the list, he helped catapult their careers and make them better. So his impact on the sport is something that doesn't get talked about enough. They've really helped a lot of people. Have they profited from it? Sure, it's a business. Why wouldn't they? But the fact of the matter is, they run that place like a business. He runs his racing operation like a business. Jimmy Mars, a hell of a season. And arguably, in my mind, this might have been the best season I've seen him have in a while. I mean, this might have been his better season. So coming in at number 5, none other than the Iceman, Jimmy Mars. Now, let's get into number 4. Number 4, this gentleman here, he had the most shows. I guess looking at it, Jimmy had a couple more shows than this guy, counting the Woo stuff. But as far as everybody else, he had the most shows. 43 shows on the year. He does have the most wins. 9 wins on the season for this guy. 31 top 5s, guys. That's impressive. 31 top 5s. 72% of his shows were in the top 5. Now, he's a Casino Speedway track champion over in Watertown, South Dakota. The Miller Central Speedway track champion in Miller, South Dakota. He got 2nd at the Miller 2 Grand to Win show. He got 2nd at Casino Speedway's 2 Grand to Win show. Also, he's the winner of the biggest paying WISSOTA race of the year. He won the $10,000 to win Dakota Rumble at the Brown County Speedway in Aberdeen, South Dakota, a show that was really didn't happen for a long time. Volts and all them got back involved, brought that show back, and he won on a big stage at that one. That one race, in my mind, catapults him up into the top 5. None other than from Aberdeen, South Dakota, your still reigning WISSOTA late model national champion, the 12 of Chad Becker.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned he raced 43 shows, which is a lot of shows, but just racing a lot of shows doesn't guarantee that success. But he definitely backed it up with 31 top 5 finishes, 9 wins, and, the big Dakota Rumble win. So, he's another driver that before doing this podcast, I really didn't know a lot about him, but doing this podcast, I look to see where he finishes in the races every week now.
Yeah, that big win, I'm happy for him. That big win at home at the Rumbles means, obviously the money's great, but to win on the big stage at your hometown's got to be great. And 9 wins. He's got the most wins of people on the list. So you can't argue with that. That's gonna park you in the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are gonna say, well, hey, he never left South Dakota except one time. Well, why would he? He's got 3 nights a week where he can run all year long. He can race Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And a lot of drivers don't have that luxury of being able to do that, right? And he had a rough go of it up at the sites. He really did. He struggled up at the sites. But I tell you, when that 12 car unloads in the state of South Dakota, you better look out because he's fast. There's no question about it. So great year coming in at number 4, Chad Becker. Now, This is where it got tough, guys, right?
It got really tough. We changed it how many times?
Oh, man, we did. We completely changed everything, and I don't think there's a right, wrong, or whatever answer. But coming in at number 3, 24 shows on the year, 8 wins. 8 wins. What is that? 33% win percentage for this gentleman here. 19 top 5s, which is 79 top 5 percentage, right? 79%. Plus, he had one Woo show in there, which I should add to it, which put him over 80, right? But he went from 14th to 5th at the World of Outlaw show in Grand Forks in impressive fashion. And do you guys remember that last lap pass for the win when the World of Outlaw sprints were there and the late models ran with? And I think he passed Lance Still, I believe it was Lance, to win on the last lap, and the crowd went bonkers. Your 2020 NLRA Late Model Series champion, the River City Speedway track champion. He got 3rd at the Prelude to the Johnny. Guys, this race has eluded him. He had a podium finish car at the big show, spun a guy out, took himself out of contention for that one. Just a racing deal. A 24th to 2nd deal. He should have had one more win in this. He had an altercation in Devil's Lake where they called it on him. He got put to the back. He came from 24th to 2nd. That was incredible to be able to watch that deal. Testament to the Devil's Lake Speedway on that one, because the track was amazing. 3 NLRA feature wins from East Grand Forks, Minnesota, the 71 Dustin Strand.
Well, if you're a racer and you're sitting around in your garage right now and having a few bush lights, and Hot Carl comes in and he says, "What's your goal for next year?" And you say, "Well, my goal is to win a third of my races," they're going to probably laugh you out of your own garage. But this guy accomplished it this year. It's extremely impressive. Congratulations on a great year, Dustin Strand.
Yeah, I agree with Puka. And I know some people are going to have their opinions about his placement at number 3. But like you said, I mean, the top 4, we rearranged and had one way, then we talked ourselves out of it, and then talked ourselves into other ways. And it was very tough ranking these. But I mean, it's nothing to take away from Strand, because he had a spectacular year.
And another guy that ran double duty, right? He ran a lot of mod shows, and several of those nights that he ran mods, he could have loaded up the late model, went a different direction, but he went to Greenbush and he went and ran just mods, and he also won the Wild West Tour with the modified down in Arizona, and he's going back to try that again this year. So just a talented race car driver. I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him come over our way, because he kind of stays in that NLRA region, but they get a lot of races over there, and he helps a lot of guys out. So coming in at number 3, the 71 Dustin Strand, great year for him. And then there was 2. The drama, like who's 1, who's 2, right? This is interesting. This came down. It's kind of a tale of 2 seasons, and it's
tale of 2 seasons, definitely.
It's crazy, But here we go. Coming in at number 2, this gentleman here, 31 shows on the year, not counting a couple Woo shows in there. But I think he ran around 10th or whatever when he ran a couple of those too. 8 wins on the year. Second most. He tied with Strand for wins. There's a few people there with 8 wins. He had 8 wins, 18 top 5s, right? So, I mean, he was a very good percentage of the time in the top 5. Now, let's talk about his body of work. He won both days, right? Both days of the Labor Day shootout. First driver in Labor Day shootout history, right, at the Hibbing Raceway to go double-digit feature wins at the Labor Day shootout. Impressive, right? He won. They had a special at the Rice Lake Speedway. He won that early in the year. Actually snuck by Massengill, and Vessel got the lead. I think maybe Chad Nader got second in that deal. He won the Ogilvy Fall Classic. I think that's a back-to-back deal. That was a $4,000 to win show right there for him. He also won the Russ Larson Classic up at the Gondiklau Speedway, $51.90 to win. And who did he hold off to win that one? Jimmy Mars, right? Now, he should have also had another win. He should be at 9. He led the lion's share of one of those features at the Twin 25s. Altercation with the lap car, very questionable call. and they called it on him. He got put to the back, and that ended that deal for him right there. He also got third up at the Wissota Classic at the Dowlinger Ford Grand Rapids Speedway, fourth at that Ogilvy special that really catapulted his invite run, right? You know, he had a great run with a top 5 finish at Ogilvy right before Labor Day. He ran one NLRA show. He did make a trip. I thought that was interesting, just kind of out of the blue, made a trip west and ran one NLRA show up at the Norman County Speedway in Ada, got fourth in that deal. Second, right, in the TriStar Engines and Transmissions Labor Day weekend late model series up north. So he had a good weekend. DNF night one, if you remember, right? He DNF night one at Ashland, and then he ran well the rest of the way through. And we're talking about a driver here that everybody knows. This guy from New Richmond, Wisconsin, the 11, the Double One Express, Pat Dorr.
Yeah, and, you know, this is kind of how I describe his season. Like you said, he started out with the big win in Rice Lake. You know, he was running well. I think he had a Cedar Lake win early in June. And then July, the guy escaped us. And I think he might have even fallen off of our weekly power rankings. But then, I mean, could you have finished a season stronger with a sweep of Labor Day next week in Russ Larson Classic, goes to Ogilvy, you know, he runs well in Cedar Lake at some of those big shows. So, yeah, the Double One Express, the guy, like Ryan said, everybody knows, everyone respects, been around a long time and parked in Victory Lane many, many times.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that, you know, he really went through a dry spell mid-season, and Ryan even called him out on the podcast mid-season, and I don't know if that lit the flame, but and even at the USA Nationals, Puka and I were talking, and it's just like, that doesn't look like Pat Dorr out there. He's just not running very well on his home track even. But then once invitational time came, it was lights out. I mean, if he was in the pits, you almost expected him to win.
Yeah, he was impressive at the end of the year. I mean, Jesse put a hell of a deal together in 2019. We called him Mr. September. This year, you could call Pat Dorr Mr. September/October because of the Fall Classic. And, you know, I was kind of looking through his stats, guys, and that V-shaped deal that he had, it wasn't quite as deep of a V as I thought, right? Kind of looking back, there was a lot of 5th, 6th, 7th. Like, he was there, but he wasn't like podium. He wasn't like terrible at most of them, but he was kind of there, but just missing something. And somebody that I, like, when I was back in Superstock days, you go to Cedar Lake and, like, you'd expect, like, Dorr's going to win the late models. His home turf is kind of where he struggled, right? He was really good everywhere else. But when he went to Cedar Lake, I mean, he did have a couple wins there, but he was missing something. He was about the 3rd best car, 4th best car at his home track, which probably kept him out of the 1 spot. If he could have had a few more podiums and a couple more wins, he might have been number 1 in this deal. But a class act individual. This guy, I mean, you're not going to meet a better guy. He's helped a lot of people, and just one of the best racers to ever hold a steering wheel in our region by far. So congratulations to number 2, Pat Dorr in the 11. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1 on the list. Guys, this guy had a great year. All right. I mean, it's been a joy watching this guy. And we're talking about, you know, your, I guess, inaugural, we'll call it the inaugural One to Go Show regional late model power rankings driver of the year right here. Now, what is his stats? Let's talk about his body of work. Now, 26 shows for this guy, 6 wins. And people are wondering, like, well, how can he has less wins? How can he be number 1 with less wins? Well, when you look at his body of work, you'll get it, right? 13 top 5s on the year. He won both days at the USA Nationals. And one of them, if you remember correctly, was a absolute photo finish with him and Giassi, just a highlight reel type deal. He won the 5,000 to win show at the Masters. He got first on the big show at the legendary 100. He made his way over to Birch neck of the woods, right? Eastern Wisconsin, went to Plymouth to the Battle Royale. I'm going to call it that. 4,200 to win at that Dirt King show. Second at the Wissota Classic at the Grand Rapids Speedway. He got second at the Mississippi Thunder Speedway at the Race to Be Essential. 4th at the ABC Raceway Prelude to the Clay. Made his first trip up to the John Seitz, got a flat tire day 1, but he got 3rd. He was on the podium at the John Seitz Memorial. He raced in 4 separate regions throughout our area, was on the podium in 4 of them and won in 2 of those regions. 3rd in the TriStar Engines and Transmissions Labor Day Series up north over Labor Day weekend. From Elk Mound, Wisconsin, the 7X, and I like to call him the X Factor, Jesse Glenz, your 2020 Driver of the Year for the One to Go Show Power Rankings. What do you guys have on Jesse?
Yeah, I mean, just unbelievable season for him. The thing that impresses me is he has wins in multiple regions, and also he's not content. Even if he's running in the top 3, he's not necessarily content with where he's at, because he could have had better finishes at a few different races. One that comes to mind was I think it was the 5,000 to win race at Cedar Lake, when he was running either 3rd or 2nd at the time, charging towards the front, but he was running the cushion, and that cushion was right by the wall, and the wall reached out and grabbed him, and that was the end of his night. But he wasn't content with just a podium finish. He wanted the win.
Yeah, everyone who's into late model racing up here in this Wazona region, if you didn't know who Glenz was after the impressive finish to the 2019 season he had, you definitely know who he is now, and you will remember that name over the next 20 years. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think, like I said, it was tough getting down to this top 5, top 7 even, but I don't think anybody will be real surprised, because, Jesse really had a standout year and really put himself on the map this year.
Yeah, and I tell you, just he has a couple that got away from him, right? So he could very easily be at that 8-9 win deal, but he was there. I mean, to be on the podium and, this gentleman here, I mean, he's so exciting to watch. I mean, the eye test says, if you're looking at, don't even look at the stats for anybody, but if you do the eye test on this guy, he is going to win some races. I mean, he is flat out talented. He's a searcher. He's very analytic behind the car, behind driving, right? He's always searching. A lot of people react, or a lot of people are like, the track change, I'm going to react. But he's very calculating on how he gets around that racetrack. And he's like a technician out there, which is super fun to watch. Extremely smooth. When you talk to this guy, he's talking about, I'm saving my tires. I know when to make a run. He's really, really calculating. He's kind of like the Tom Brady, right, of late model racing without cheating. He doesn't do that, right? Take the cheating out, right? But just very cerebral, very respected by everybody. And I think everyone we talked about here, the one thing with the late model guys, there's just a mutual respect, and he's one of them young guns getting into it. A great year. Congratulations to him. And guys, I have a little treat.
James Giossi, Darrell Nelson continues his great run forward. He is up to 8th. After starting 22nd in the 44, Giossi smooth around the bottom. Jesse Glenz trying to roar by him on the outside. Here comes A.J. Diemel now. Diemel going to clear Tyler McDonald to 3rd. A.J. Diemel now to 3rd. Jimmy Mars now to 5th. Laps winding down, though, for your race leader, James Giossi in 11. Giossi, Glenz, and Diemel. That's your top 3 as we get set to crown a winner here on the Friday night of the USA Nationals. White flag will be in the air the next time around. Jesse Glenz is closing here. See if Glenz has enough to try to run down Giossi. He just might. Jesse Glenz rapidly closing in on James Giossi. The white flag will fly. Let's see what kind of turns 1 and 2 Jesse Glenz has. Here comes the 7X. Jesse Glenz roaring, flat-footing down the back straightaway. Giossi down to the bottom. Can Glenz get to him? Into turn number 3, the double checkered coming in the air. Off turn number 4. Jesse Glenz wins it.
Wow, race fans, here you have it. We broke down the top 5 in the One to Go Show Power Rankings, and we have a special guest here for you, the One to Go Show Regional Late Model Power Rankings Driver of the Year, none other than the X Factor, the 7X, Jesse Glenz. How you doing, man?
Good. How about you guys?
Hey, doing awesome. Hey, congratulations on one hell of a season. I mean, we got to watch a lot of races in person, online. It was a treat being able to watch you. I mean, congratulations on being the number one in the power rankings. You know, we're excited for you. How was the season overall? I mean, what stuck out to you as far as the season?
Yeah, no, it's I feel honored to get the recognition from you guys and to be able to come out on top like that. It was another phenomenal year, just like the year prior was too. So yeah, just stoked to have another year like that, and hopefully we can just get started earlier this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Guys, I know you might have a question or two for Jesse. Fire away, and then I'll close it up at the end.
Well, before I get too serious with my questions, first, throughout the year on our podcast, Ryan started calling you the X Factor. Were you ever referred to as the X Factor before that?
No, I've never had a nickname at all. The only nickname I ever had was when I was in the go-karts. They called me the Kid when I moved up to the wing karts, but otherwise, that's a new one. That's the only one I got.
So, you know, obviously, you had a good year last year, you know, especially that second half. And then this year, you know, you just kept that momentum up. I mean, do you notice that, like, on social media? Is there more attention, or at the track? Have you noticed that you're not just Jesse Glenns anymore, that you are the X Factor?
Yeah, I've definitely noticed it. I mean, your guys' this video and this, you know, podcast and videos and all that you guys have now is definitely helping the recognition more. I mean, because otherwise, you know, I don't know. I feel like the Midwest is kind of just forgotten about, even with Dirt on Dirt. Like, we're just kind of alone. We're so far north, except for when the USA Nationals come around. So I think it's awesome that you guys are spreading the love for the Midwest guys. And yeah, definitely. I mean, biggest thing is probably shirt sales and social media likes and video following that for sure.
Speaking of merchandising, I know I did the custom die cast and I showed it on the podcast right here. Then now you're actually selling die casts on your website. How's that doing? How are sales of the die cast doing on your website?
Yeah, they're still pre-order, so I didn't get any in yet, so I haven't seen them. But I know when I first put a post out there on Facebook about the idea, there's probably 80 big ones and like 60 little ones right away within the first couple of days that people wanted. So yeah, hopefully they keep their word, and when they get in, they do order them. But yeah, there's quite a few pre-orders.
I got to be honest, I'm super jealous of all the little kids now. They just want to play on video games all the time. And when I was a little kid, which is a long time ago, we used to take Matchbox cars, and every time I went to, I think it was Kmart back then, right? You know, we'd go to Kmart, and every time they had Camaros or Corvettes, I would grab like as many as I could, and then I would take masking tape and I'd paint them up. And, you know, Puka remembers John Garver, a buddy of mine. So we'd kind of have our own little ones, and we'd announce, and we'd be racing Matchbox cars like as little kids. And now they're all spoiled little brats, right? They get cool little miniature Jesse Glenns cars and everybody else. We didn't have that. That would have been awesome as a kid. In fact, I might buy a bunch of them and just play Matchbox cars, kind of like the movie Slapshot. You brought your cars with you, right? So that's kind of, I'm just jealous about that. I think that's awesome that you have that available and that the kids do today. So I do have a question.
No,
go ahead.
They definitely got it better. I mean, they got the cars where they can, you know, fantasize and pretend that. Otherwise, you know, half of them got phones with the dirt track in game, and I got my car in there. So, I mean, that's probably one of the coolest things so far, is to be on that game and have little kids come up or dads say, you know, Jesse put me into the wall last night or whatever, you know, and stuff like that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So talk about, I mean, you had a great year. What stuck out to you? You know, what stuck out to you on the year? As far as a number one, give me your number one moment of the year in your mind.
I mean, it wasn't the biggest money-wise, but it still has to be the sweep at the Nationals, just because it was the first crown jewel event for all of the travelers and the national tour and everything. And I've done really good in years past at the Nationals, but I haven't won. Or I did win one, but I haven't, you know, doubled back like that. And to do it, you know, in a record-breaking crowd in front of all them, and to do it consistent years back and have the national drivers see that. There was quite a few of them that gave me some respect from that.
And it was a dramatic finish. That was day one, right? When you
Yeah,
got by James at the line there. The crowd went bonkers. That was pretty cool. Now let's flip that around. Is there a night you're like, man, I wish I had that one back?
3 of them. Yep. The sights, and then Ogilvy, and then the 5,000 to win race at Cedar Lake.
So I remember those all vividly, right? So the sights one, you were up in the hunt. You were up to third. Night one, somebody you got a flat tire, I believe, in a heat race, I think it was. But what kind of stuck back? Do you feel like maybe, because you got third at the sights, right?
Yeah, I got third. We were 3 wide coming to the white flag. It was a great race, and even the dash race before, we were damn near 3 wide coming across the checkered. But a lot of people don't know, but I just messed up. Like, I got into second late, and I was trying to use my resources like I do at Cedar Lake all the time and look at the scoreboard, but the only place I could see it was right in the middle of 1 and 2 because it's on the back stretch. But lo and behold, there's a digital marker out, and from that angle, it's completely black. If you look at it from the front, you can see it's kind of dim, but from 1 and 2 where I was looking up, glancing, it's completely black. So I thought we were getting down there on laps, and I was, pretty close to Aaron, dove under him a couple times low, and was just trying to feel him out, set him up. And I look up, and it said 67, and I'm like, shit, I got to really save my tires yet for quite a while. I thought we were a lot farther than that. And then just to double check, next lap around, I look up again, sure enough, 68. I'm like, okay, well, it must be right. Well, then 2 laps later or 3 laps later, AJ's sticking his nose under me on the left side, and we come around, and it's the white flag. Well, it was 87 and 88, and it was that left digital that was out, so it looked like a 6, not an 8. And not saying I would have had him, but I wasn't pushing it as hard as I needed to the last 5 laps had I known that there was only 5 to go.
So you got to have your signal guy going up, like whoever. If you have somebody giving you signals, have them give you there's 5 to go. Hell with that. Looking at the deal, there's 5 laps left. And then Ogilvy was the one at Cedar Lake, that $5,000 to win show. You were just giving it on the high side. I thought that was going to be another photo finish at the line, and you just got over the cushion, got in the fence.
Yeah.
That's just driving hard. And then what happened at Ogilvy?
I'm sure
we talked about that on the show. I'm like, what the hell happened? You're leading the race and it's kind of rubber. What happened? What happened in your eyes? What happened?
Yeah, we were catching lappers, and I did pass a couple of lap cars, and I was making the track more of a circle. I wasn't really dragging off the bottom of the corners. So especially out of 4, I never came off right on the tires, and I never knew how much rubber was down there. So when I got to the lap car, I just kept my momentum up and stayed a groove off the tires because I could feel it starting to latch up a little bit there. But yeah, I slid up, and that was enough for Pat to get the drive. And then once I did go down, I'm like, yeah, I could have had both tires in the rubber instead of just one like he did. And then, I followed him for 3 laps, and I got right on his bumper, and we were right behind another lap car, and he kind of checked up. So I thought if I went over a little bit, I would have had enough of a run to get around him. But as soon as I went over and got to his right rear, then he took off, and James was right behind me to take off under me too. Then on the restart, it was just, we were 3 wide, and me and AJ got together with my left rear, and it went flat. So
I blame the track prep crew. When a track takes rubber, I just blame them. That should have been another win right there for you, for sure. So Puka or Bert, you guys got anything else there for Jesse?
Go ahead, Bert.
We've talked about this on the podcast. You and Giassi are best friends. You passed him late in a few races this year to take some big victories. How do you two, I don't want to say deal with it, but how do you two act after the races are over when that happens, when you're best friends?
It's it's no different. We got a lot of good camaraderie together. I mean, if anything, it just pushes the other one more to try to, do that back at him. But yeah, there's no bad blood. We're happy for each other. We want to see, if we could have it our way, me and him would go 1-2 every night, whichever order it would be.
I've actually got 2 questions. So I was at the Masters on Friday night, and you won a heat, and I didn't pay too much attention to Thursday. I remember you were in Victory Lane, the interview after the heat, and you said, "Oh my gosh, anything was better than last night." What happened on that Thursday night? Do you remember?
Well, I was in the very first heat Thursday night, and there was still standing water on the bottom of the track on the tires. And I hit that and slid away across the top. And then coming into 3 and 4, I'm like, okay, well, that's soaking wet. So I went to the high side, and that was still slime right up by the wall. So I pulled off, because by that one lap, I had already lost 3 spots in the heat.
Oh, okay.
And with passing points, it was just going to be wide open. I wouldn't have been able to make it up. So
okay,
just save the equipment, because it can go down south that fast. And I just saved the equipment for the next night, and lo and behold, it came true and won the next night.
Okay. So this car has been pretty good to you. And I've heard drivers say, this car. So what are your plans with this car? Is this car going to be 2021's car, or are you going to hang on to it? Do you have a name for this car? Is this car special?
I mean, maybe we can name this car the X Factor.
There you
no,
go.
I don't have. We just got a new house, me and my wife, and moved in about a month ago, and we got married in July. So, and I'm sure you guys have probably seen that video of my race shop. So no, we're gonna stick with this car for 1 more year. Try to save up some funds so I can build an actual size shop like I need and want at this new place.
What year is that car?
It's a 2017.
Oh gosh, so that is your car.
See, that's impressive to me. See, and a lot of people don't get that. In racing, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you got to have brand new every year. You got to have big stacker hauler. You got to." I mean, it's all money. And what impresses me is, okay, that's a 4-year-old car. They ran it for 4 years, and you still run. You don't even have a dry sump, right? You still running wet sump?
Correct. It is the same engine. That engine was new in 2015, and it ran 3 years in my mod before becoming a late model.
Right. So you look at that, and then what caught my eye with that, because I didn't know you, and then you come up to Hibbing, and then I'm walking by and I see the smaller trailer and I see the Scamper Camper. I'm like, that's Jesse? I'm like, really? And nothing against all the people that got big stackers. I mean, heck, if I had all that money, I would have had one too. It is what it is. But,
right.
As a fan and as somebody that's, there's a lot of talented drivers out there that aren't millionaires, right? That can go out and, you don't have to have all that stuff to win. And I guess that's a point that I'm trying to make is, if you're a talented driver, you do your homework, you put the work in at the shop, all that stuff. If you can have pretty good equipment, you can win a lot of races. And, Jimmy will be pissed at me because he might sell less cars. We'll hear that.
Yeah, that was the whole point of that video that I made, was to hopefully encourage and show people that, you put the money in the right places and you work hard, you can do it, because I have done it,
Absolutely. And that's such a good lesson for a lot of people. Now, with that said, you do have a lot of people that help you. Who are some of the folks that have helped you? Sponsors, people in the pits, people at the shop. Don't forget your new wife. Do not forget. I'm reminding you. So who else do you got to thank?
Yeah, I mean, my family supports me, and Ashley, my wife, and her family support me, bar none, always have. But yeah, sponsors, I mean, the car, I got to give, big thanks to them, because this car's, withstood 4 years and been just phenomenal. Don't need to change a thing, night in, night out, consistent. And that's really what you hope for in a car. And then, engine to be able to last this long too. Tim's Automotive built a great piece. It's been reliable and had power. But yeah, Brunswick Trucking's another big one of mine. Dixon's Apple Orchard, Arts ATV, White City Glass, TL Sins Plumbing, Mike Star Market. There's a lot of people that have helped me for a long time. And I just want to want to thank them all, big or small. It all helps and makes a difference.
So I'm going to end with this. Let's just cross our fingers and knock on wood that all the COVID stuff is gone and we can get back to starting early and have just a regular, normal season of racing. What are the plans and the goals for Jesse Glenns in 2021?
I mean, I'd like to go out to the sites again. I was super happy first time out there to get a podium. But I'd like to get, a very big check like that. That'd be awesome. And it is a cool place. It's a great, fun track. I mean, yeah, it's a little bull ring. It's small, but it races so wide, which is always fun to see. But, I am waiting to see the Challenge Series. Hopefully that gets back together, and I'd like to run that and go for a points in that as well.
Well, we look forward to it. And most of those shows, I mean, which we're fortunate as race fans because we don't travel all over, but you can catch all those shows, of course, on Dirt Race Central, watchdrc.tv. And Puka, yep. Bert, any last thoughts or questions or anything for Jesse before we wrap up?
Just one thing. I mean, you're talking about your plans for 2021. I'm going to ask you to come to Eastern Wisconsin a few more times. We'd like to see your race there. I know you came there last year. One time took home all the money. It was a wild race that you were in though when you won that money.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to get back again. I was kind of bummed that we didn't get to run the Scheffler race. We were all loaded up, ready to go, but the weather just looked too bad, and then they did only end up, canceling after the heats. So yeah, hopefully be back 2 more times.
All right. Well, Dirt Kings at Shawano Speedway, April 17th.
All right.
No, I just want to say congrats on a great year, a classy guy. And, just like I said, best wishes, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And then also, best wishes into 2021.
Yeah. Thank you. Put a good word in Santa for me.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, Dan, hey, thanks for jumping on the show. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. The X Factor, as I call him, Jesse Glenns, the inaugural, right? One to go show regional late model power rankings driver of the year. And we're looking forward to seeing more of that in 2021. So Jesse, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
No, thanks you guys. Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Take care.
Congratulations.
Well, I tell you what, that was a blast. Heck of a year to Jesse. Fun being able to get him on the show, congratulate him, and kind of interesting, really, to kind of hear what happened at the sites. Like I'm impressed as hell with dude, he got third at the sites, and he's like, I kind of messed up on that one. I didn't know that. I mean, what did you guys get out of that interview there? That was kind of fun.
Well, go ahead. Okay, I was to say the age of his car. It's like everyone needs the latest, greatest trick part and everything, and even the engine deal. So I was like, wow. I mean, congratulations. I mean, fantastic. That makes like he said. Hopefully it makes the guy that thinks he's a step behind, and maybe he's not as big of a step behind as he really thinks he is.
Yeah, and I mean, I thought it was interesting the stories he had on what happened at I can't remember the track, but the track in Minnesota where he was leading and the track was rubbering up, and what was he thinking? But I mean, he explained what he was thinking at the time, and I thought that was an interesting story. And the site story that was really interesting. Sometimes the less you know, the better off you are.
You watch that and it's like, how many, I'll be honest, when most people are racing, late models aren't slow. Okay. You're talking Grand Forks. This is a bull ring. This is a quarter-mile bull ring. It's not a big drawn out track. And he's up there going, yeah, I'm coming out of the corner. I'm kind of looking. I'm keeping an eye on, he's using all the resources he has available. It's like, dude, most of the guys that I raced against, I'm like, please just continue to look at the racetrack, okay? And so for him to be able to do that in like Cedar Lake, they look up at that screen and they can kind of gauge things. That's pretty neat to kind of hear how they use some of them tools. But overall, I tell you, that kid has got some wins coming ahead of him for sure. I mean, he had a heck of a back-to-back years. Also very good in that modified, driving that 89 car. Actually, him and Deal kind of partnered up on that deal with the White City Glass crew, and really fun to watch there as well. But, hey, we finally got her done. The top 25 in the power rankings. You know, any closing thoughts from you guys? I mean, obviously, I mean, it was a lot of fun. Jesse Glenn's number one, but anything else, you know, that you want to touch on there?
Well, I just want to say that, you know, I want people to understand that we actually did put a lot of time and effort into compiling stats and looking at comparing the drivers. And, you know, we didn't just throw together a list as an afterthought and, okay, here are the top drivers. I mean, we actually, I know everybody's going to have their own opinions, but I'm kind of curious to see what some of the opinions are. I'm guessing that this top 25 list is probably going to generate probably the most comments of anything that we've done so far on this podcast.
Yeah, it was tough. You know, like I said, I don't think we thought it was going to be as tough as it was when we went into this thing. It's like, yeah, we'll throw a list together, and it's tough. And I want to, like I said, thank Bert, thank Ryan, especially Ryan. I know you put a lot of time into this. And thank both of you. You know, we got our first basically full year under our belt here. So, you know, we're pushing, 60 episodes. So, you know, thanks for all that too. And I just wanted to say one thing unrelated to racing is I was visiting with a guy today who's heavily involved with the Toys for Tots program, you know, where you got these bins. And if any of you out there, they're a little bit behind due to COVID and everything. So if any of you are out at Walmart or Target, or you going shopping tomorrow, tonight, whatever, if you remember, if you could grab a little toy and stuff it in that Toys for Tots, you know, we don't want any kids to go without a present, you know, under the tree this year, especially, you know, due to COVID and all this crazy stuff. So if you could be so kind to help out Toys for Tots, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And that gives us an idea. You know what we should do next year is we should buy some of these die casts, you know, some of the smaller ones from some of these drivers, and maybe we can actually coordinate something like that. You know, we should talk about that. You know, that'd be kind of fun, because that's what Christmas season's all about, giving, right? We really know what Christmas is about, Jesus, of course, but you know, it's one of those things. The racing community as a whole is so good at giving back, and I'm proud to be part of it. But it's been a blast, guys. I want to take a minute and just wish everybody, whether it's our listeners, the drivers, the sponsors, you guys, everybody, a very Merry Christmas. Christmas Eve tomorrow, Christmas coming up. You know, it's been a pleasure doing this with you guys. It's been a lot of fun doing the power rankings. And again, Merry Christmas to everybody. Any closing thoughts before we jump off?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to agree. I mean, Merry Christmas to everybody. And I encourage everybody to enjoy Christmas the way they see fit. I mean, you know, if you want to spend time with your family, spend time with your family. That's what I say.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. And don't forget, a little eggnog and cookies tonight for Santa, that were on Christmas Eve, not tonight, but tomorrow. Wouldn't hurt. So, you know, he's coming.
He's got to take them to go, though, because there's no indoor dining in Minnesota. So he's got to take them to go.
Put him in a Ziploc. Put the eggnog in it to go.
Yeah, so get a to-go cup and all that for Santa. So, hey, I'm Ryan. That's Puka. That's Bert. We're the One to Go show. It's been a pleasure. You guys have a great Christmas. And, Puka, I'll let you end it like you always do.
Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the One to Go show.